This was devastating. The Boston Celtics just lost to the Golden State Warriors 132 to 126 in overtime. And in a game of runs, the Boston Celtics, unfortunately, late in the game, could not find one offensively, and it suffered for them. But in the loss tonight, there were some up things that we can talk about. Great games and performances from guys like Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, and Neemias Queta, and we'll also talk a little bit about the Jayson Tatum injury. All that and more on this post-game breakdown on Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and before we get started on any Boston Celtics content, I would like to say shout out to you guys. Thank you to everyone that's hit that subscribe button. And if you guys are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys want to stay up to date on everything Boston Celtics. We have news, rumors, trades, updates, live streams, all of that. If you want to get daily Boston Celtics coverage, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to our goal of 3,000 subscribers, and we greatly appreciate everyone that follows along. But let's get into the news at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack and get ready to go, as this is going to be a jam-packed episode. We'll be breaking down the Celtics suffering a devastating loss to the Golden State Warriors, like I mentioned. And the Celtics actually played pretty solid. It was a game of runs, like I mentioned earlier. The Boston Celtics had a big run in the first quarter. We saw Jaylen Brown talk about pace, and I mentioned that in my last video. And the Celtics did bring that pace tonight, bringing that intensity throughout the game. But late in the fourth quarter, they started to play a little bit slow, and that's when the Warriors started to bring it back. If we want to look at the team stats from tonight's game, you can see that the Celtics and the Warriors both shot pretty great from the field tonight. 41% from the Celtics, with the Warriors shooting us out a little bit better. But it was a very offensive game tonight from both teams. Celtics shooting around 30% from 329, while the Warriors shooting 40%. Celtics trying to outshoot the Warriors in some points when they were up, and that is not a good look in the second quarter. But the Celtics doing good from the free throw line, 15 from 17 when it counted. They also did solid in the rebound department as well, keeping up a little bit the Warriors, not getting not many defensive rebounds, but keeping around the same with the offensive rebounds. Same thing with the assists, right around the same numbers, 28 and 29. The Celtics getting 6 steals compared to the Warriors 4, and them getting the same amount of blocks at 5. Derrick White was very impactful with the blocks of the Boston Celtics, and we'll get to that when we mention him. The Boston Celtics held in there a little bit, outscored them in the paint by 2 points, and were dominating with the point paints in the beginning of the first half with almost 20 at halftime, 44 compared to 24. But the Warriors certainly brought that back in the second half when they started to get hot. If we want to look at the Boston Celtics individual stats here, we can look and talk about Jayson Tatum, obviously playing 41 minutes on that ankle. If you guys did not watch the game, Jayson Tatum suffered an ankle sprain in the first quarter. He was seen hobbling, running into the locker room. After that, he decided to come back to the bench, subbed into the second quarter, and played throughout the game. But Jayson Tatum, obviously on this a little bit of hurt ankle, isn't going to be wanting to attack them and play that aggressive. So he's going to be tendency to shooting more and taking more threes, and we saw that late in the game when they gave Tatum the ball. And it wasn't that successful for Tatum tonight, but he did have a all-right game. He didn't shoot the greatest, 5 for 17, 2 for 9 from 3, but 3 for 3 from the free throw. Getting those 8 rebounds and 7 assists, though, and 2 steals, helping out the team and what they needed with his 15 points. Al Horford, kind of the same thing. Not the greatest shooting night from 4 for 14, 3 for 10 from the 3, but doing what he always does best. 10 defensive rebounds with a total of 12, 6 assists for Al Horford, and 13 points to finish the night. Jrue Holiday, 5 for 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3 with 13 points, 7 rebounds and 1 assist and 2 steals, doing his solid effects on the defensive side of the ball. And then the two main stars on the Boston Celtics tonight in the starting lineup were Derrick White and Jaylen Brown. Obviously, there was no Kristaps Porzingis tonight, and the Celtics were shorthanded there. But Derrick White played a fantastic game for the Boston Celtics, 11 for 24 from the field, 7 for 18 from three-point range. So he was chucking up those threes, but they were falling from hitting 7 of them. But 7 total rebounds as well, 3 assists, and 3 blocks, like I mentioned, like he had in the first quarter. 30 total points from Derrick White. And Jaylen Brown also doing his thing, being very vocal, wanting to keep up this pace, fits with his intensity. And since the Warriors do like to take a lot of threes, it was beneficial that the Celtics were attacking at the rim in the first half and were being very physical at them, keeping up that pace. And Jaylen Brown did that tonight, shooting 10 for 22 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 7 for 8 from the free throw line, with 8 total rebounds, 7 assists, and finishing it off with 28 points. A guy in Sam Hauser, unfortunately, did not have the greatest night, though, for the Boston Celtics. 0 for 7 from the field and 0 for 6 from the three-point range. But a guy like Sam Hauser isn't a guy like Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum that you need to be counting on to perform every single night. So a guy like Sam Hauser can have an off night if other guys step up, and that definitely did happen between the Boston Celtics. We saw a guy like Oshae Brissett, when his number was called, even though he played 5 minutes, brought a lot of intensity for the Boston Celtics and brought a lot of energy to that fast pace that Jaylen Brown wanted. Finished with 3 for 3 from the field and shooting with 6 points. And Neemias Queta also had a big impactful game for the Boston Celtics tonight, finishing from 5 for 8 from the field, but getting his first double-double of his NBA career, finishing with 10 total rebounds and 10 total points. We'll get to talking about Neemias Queta in a little bit. I really am really proud of what he did tonight for the Boston Celtics. We can also talk about Payton Pritchard as well. He had a great game for the Boston Celtics as well, shooting 4 for 6 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, 2 assists, and finishing with 11 points. Being efficient tonight for the Boston Celtics was Payton Pritchard, but obviously the Boston Celtics could not get it done, even though they'd had to have some stellar performances. If we want to look at the Golden State Warriors, obviously Steph Curry had a slow first half, but then turned up in the fourth quarter for the Golden State Warriors and had an impactful game. Jonathan Kuminga was also very impactful for the Golden State Warriors, and so was Klay Thompson, finishing with 24 points. Brandon Pominski did get hurt, but he did look pretty solid for the Golden State Warriors in the first half, so he might have had a little bit of an impact. But guys like Trayce Jackson-Davis and Dario Saric stepped up tremendously for this Golden State Warriors bench and had very impactful games. Trayce Jackson-Davis, finishing with 13 rebounds and 10 points, was an impactful force and had multiple blocks as well. 2 total on Jaylen Brown that I saw on Jaylen Brown trying to posterize him in the fourth quarter or overtime late in the game, and also with Jaylen Brown trying to get a dunk on him or layup by him in the first half. So ultimately, the Boston Celtics had a good first quarter, and then in the second quarter, they started to slow down and try to shoot some threes. Didn't really work out. In the third quarter, though, there was no third quarter collapse. The Celtics kept their composure and kept up with this Warriors team, but in the fourth quarter, late in the game, it just seemed like the Warriors went on a too big of a run for the Boston Celtics to handle, and their offense was just gassed. There were a lot of times where the Celtics had multiple opportunities to hit threes with multiple offensive rebounds late in the game, with an opportunity that I can vividly remember of them taking 4 threes in a row and getting 2 layups and just not being able to hit them. It was just a fluster of things for the Boston Celtics tonight. Just didn't really go their way. And that's okay, because the Boston Celtics have only lost 6 games this season. It's nothing to freak out about. Yes, it's terrible to blow a 17-point lead, and it doesn't look good, but there was no Kristaps Porzingis, and there's nothing to worry about. The Boston Celtics are still a dominant team. They're still going to do fine on this West Coast adventure, and as long as we finish at least 2-2 going into this West Coast adventure, I think the Boston Celtics will be totally okay. But a guy that I do want to bring back and talk about that had a lot of people very hyped up tonight from the Boston Celtics, was Neemias Queta. Now, I was looking at Twitter during the game. A lot of people were excited that Neemias Queta got his double-double, and I'm very excited as well for him because, as you guys know, or if you don't know, Celtics Digest loves Neemias Queta. We've been a huge fan of him, and he's been tremendous for the Boston Celtics in the preseason, and I think he is a solid backup big for the Boston Celtics. And he showed that he can do that for the Celtics. He showed he can rebound for them. He showed he can box out a little bit. He had a little bit of trouble on defense, and that is a little bit shaky, but he looks like he can be that high-flying big, and maybe not by the end of this season if he gets a little bit of development time, but by next season, I think Neemias Queta could be a legitimate backup big for the Boston Celtics in the future, as long as they give him that development time. And I think that would be really beneficial for the Boston Celtics, having, Al Horford get a little up in age, having Kristaps Porzingis, we've already seen with the injuries a little bit this season. He's already been rested a little bit and stuff like that. We need to have another solidified big in the rotation that can be effective. And a guy like Neemias Queta, who is a underappreciated guy who's had to fight through it all, I think could be a great fit for this Boston Celtics team at the backup center. So let me know your guys' opinion on the game tonight or Neemias Queta, whatever. I love to read your guys' comments. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. If you guys are still not subscribed to Celtics Digest, what are you guys doing? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the family. We know you guys enjoy the content. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I'm Bruce Veliz, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.